This video is a message from Pleasant Hill Baptist Church in Campbellsville, Kentucky. We hope you will be blessed by it.
One thing we've all expected from the Pleasant Hill, we're going to have some good news. That was good thing. Thank you so much. We're in the series on spiritual warfare. Now we're going to read a couple of scriptures for today's message. About over in Ephesians chapter 6, beginning in verse 10. Finally, be strong in the Lord and in His mighty power. Put on the full armor of God, so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. Again, this scripture. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Let's bow our heads for prayer. Father, we know Satan is working. He works to discourage us. He works in so many ways to try to win the battle with you. And God, as I try to battle him by preaching your word and by magnifying the schemes of Satan, God, help me to listen to your voice, not his voice. And may we all listen to you. In Jesus' name. Amen. I call this message in spiritual warfare the great deceiver, and how he is the great deceiver. Satan's overreaching strategy, which he carries out in many ways, makes him the ultimate magician. He carries out not only the smoke and the ugliness of hell, but he uses his sleight of hand to misguide us, mislead us. In fact, we read in Genesis chapter 3 that when Adam and Eve went in the garden, and God told them, don't eat of this particular fruit, whatever that was. Don't eat of it. Satan came to them and said, oh, God doesn't really mean what he said. It's okay to eat that. And notice how he came. He came in the form of a snake. The snake was the most deceptive of all the animals that God had created. Genesis chapter 3, or chapter 3, verses 1 and following. So Satan comes in various forms. He comes in a form that you would least expect. Paul tells about it in 2 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 14. Satan disguises himself as an angel of light. Our problem do not exist only in the visible world, but they exist in the invisible, spiritual world. But they often exist in unsuspecting ways when Satan comes to mislead us. I want us to look at some of the targets. There are 4 basic targets that Satan has for you and for me. He has that strategy. He first of all comes to you, to me, the individual. You see, Satan is after you. He's after me. He's been working on my mind this morning. He was working on me right there just a minute ago. He works on you. He wants you. He will do anything in his power to get you. The battles you're fighting right now are battles that Satan is bringing on you to get you to yield to him, to get you discouraged, to get you down. He's after you. No matter who you are, no matter what your status is, no matter what your income is, no matter how successful you are, Satan is trying to overpower you and to get you to follow in his footsteps. In fact, if we look closely enough in Christian circles today, we will find that many of our brothers and sisters, yes, Christian folks, are succumbing to what Satan is telling each and every one of us. Satan has empowered himself to tempt us. Look at the drug battle that's going on. I think about the singer Prince. We don't know for sure, but from all indications, overdose. When I was a chaplain on the rescue squad, John was sheriff. I went into a lot of homes with young people, especially, and some adults that were trying to climb a wall because their minds were burned with drugs. You see, Satan doesn't come to you and say, well, you snort this stuff, you smoke this weed, you take this shot, you take that pill. He doesn't say you do that and everything's going to be okay. All your problems are going to be gone. Oh, he comes to you and says, boy, you want to feel good? Smoke this. Get that shot. Take that pill. Snort this. Take that, and boy, you'll feel great. But he doesn't tell that you'll end up from an overdose. Or you'll go to the bottom. You'll lose your job. You'll lose your marriage. You'll lose your health. He doesn't tell you that. Talks about how you feel good. He'll get you on alcohol. Take that first drink. If you take the first drink, you better watch it. Because that's Satan's way of getting you once he's got you. With one drink, it's not going to end up with one drink. It'll be two. Then it's going to take three and then four. He comes to you for those things. Get drugs, get alcohol. Get into this relationship. Nowadays we use the term, we've got a relationship going. And that relationship could be the end of you or somebody else. He doesn't tell you that sex is good in marriage, but it's wrong out of marriage. He doesn't tell you that. He doesn't tell you get involved with this person sexually and what could happen. He doesn't tell you about the bitterness that you feel in your heart. You're bitter. Something's happened, and boy, he can eat you up like cancer with bitterness. But he doesn't tell you that. And he works on me through discouragement, and I realize it. He hits me right between the eyes. Sometimes he'll do that to you. Maybe that's where your weakness is, get you discouraged. He can get you where you don't have much use for yourself. You don't like yourself. You have low self-esteem. Somebody tells you what a good job you do. Oh, don't do that. You got a low self-esteem. That's Satan. That's not God who tells you. Satan. He gets you depressed. He gets you to feeling arrogant. He can make you think you're always right. That if anything goes wrong, it's not your fault. It's always her fault or his fault, somebody else's. Not yours. That's arrogance. That's not of God, folks. That's of the devil. Or he comes to you in so many other ways. I could just go on down the list. Time keeps me from doing it. But not only does he try to get you, he tries to get the family. Your marriage is going along pretty good, and all of a sudden, bang, he hits you. He tears up your family. God is not going to try to tear up your family. He wants to keep your family strong. God is not going to destroy a marriage. God wants to keep that marriage strong. So there's only two powers. There's God and there's Satan. So if God's not trying to destroy your marriage, who's behind it? Name the old guy. The devil. He'll do everything he can to tear your family apart. The devil works in sly ways. He comes to young couples who have children in that home. And he'll say to that young couple, well, you don't need to try to get your child to come to Christ. You don't need to get your child to go to church. Oh, don't do that. That's not all that important. Church doesn't mean much. Not that important. Oh, you can worship God somewhere else. Don't get your child involved. A lot of young couples listen to the devil. They don't go to church. They don't say the church is important. They don't think worship is important. Don't read the Bible at home with your child. Don't pray with your child. Oh, no, don't do that. That's silly stuff. Oh, don't worry about it. And then he causes you as a mother and daddy to get the child up where they're at the age where you don't influence them as much. They don't want to go to church. They don't care about the Bible. They don't even know anything about the Bible. They don't know about prayer. And then what happens? That little boy and girl grows up and finds out they get married. And do you think that as they bring that little baby into their lives and that little baby grows up, that if mom and daddy is not used to going to church and mom and daddy is not praying, mom and daddy is not reading the Bible, do you think that those little children that came up under that are going to say, oh boy, let's get up, children, we're going to go to church? So you've got a whole generation that's been raised. Doesn't realize the importance of worship or the importance of talking to God, studying about God. That whole generation comes on. And what in the world is going to happen to the home, to the nation? Satan would like to disrupt the church. You know what he does, how he works this thing of getting the church where there's disunity? He'll get everything to start talking about nowadays. Well, I don't like that kind of music. There have been so many churches have been split down the middle over the music. They don't like praise music. Others don't like gospel music. They don't like hymns. And all of a sudden, God's left out of the whole picture. It's a matter, they don't have my kind of music. Is that God? No! That's the devil! But how many churches have been split down the middle over the music? And it comes to the point to where we go to church and boy, if they don't do it the way I think they ought to do it, I'm out. Is that God? It's Satan. And he wins the victory. When we get about unity, pulling together, as the song says, folks, it's not about me. It's not about you. It's about Him. It's Almighty God. It's about the Lord Jesus Christ. Satan can divide us. Satan tries to hurt our nation. He'll do everything he can to divide the nation, to corrupt the nation. He's behind the dictators that have arisen, the Hitlers and all the other dictators. But you know what? God can get inside of a great nation like the United States. And He works through our leaders. He tries to get them to listen to Him and to do things that are not godly but are ungodly. And it doesn't take too long when you have leadership like that before that nation has stopped listening to God. Or we don't, as the nation starts, they want to do, what does God want this nation to do? And our nation was built on Christian principles. The Bible. But whenever our leaders get away from the Bible and doing what God wants, the nation goes down. So God says, don't listen to those ungodly. Listen to me. But sometimes the satanic voice is stronger than God's voice, as far as we're concerned. And divisions come in our own nation. I'm going to skip parts of this message. I want to go right now to the strategy that Satan uses. In all my study, most of the things that we know about spiritual warfare are not new things. They've been coming from the fathers of the past. And you read one and they're basically the same. But there are 4 strategies that Satan uses that pretty well come in all the authorities of spiritual warfare. The first one is he works through desire. A common term we often associate with desire is the word lust. Lust is not necessarily a bad word. Desire is not necessarily a bad word. Legitimate desires motivates us in our lives. It provides a way of having satisfaction, having the things that we want, living a good life. When desire or lust manifests itself through illegitimate means, it turns into temptation. And then there have the potential for sin. The desire is not the sin. It's what we do with that desire. Desire for food is good. Gluttony is a sin. Desire for sex is good. Nothing wrong with sex. Great thing. But immorality is a sin. Desire for sleep is good. Laziness is a sin. Satan's initial strategic point in our lives is to play on the God-given legitimate desires that we have as human beings. He knows the desire cannot be avoided or ignored. God has planted it within us. Essentially, He wants the desire to be the master over you, rather than you being the master over your desire. And that's where the problem comes. Is when he tells you, oh, it's okay. It's okay. You have the desire. The second is deception. That's the second step. A great illustration of that is like a fisherman sets out to catch a fish. Now, if a fisherman were to put a hook in the water, it wouldn't catch any fish. he'd go home without anything. But when he puts a worm or something on that hook that attracts the fish, that's when he catches the fish. And that's the way Satan works. Satan never tells you the danger of doing these things. He deceives you with that worm or whatever the bait may be. With drugs, oh, you'll be all right. You're not going to be an addict like those folk are. No, you'll get you overcome it. You won't become an alcoholic. You won't be an adulterer. Try it. Try it. And you got you. It's like that old fish. You start wiggling around, controlling. Not by where you want to go, but where the one who holds the fishing boat wants you to go. Deception. Gets the foot of the door. It may be that you watch one pornographic video, somebody's house out there, and you watch it. Next thing you know, you're addicted to pornography. And you want to play it out, what you see on that screen. He's got you. Not only that, it may be a conversation. Somebody enticing you. Maybe you develop a relationship. He's got you. First, all these things seem so harmless. But then he's got you. Disobedience comes. That's the third stage. Desire leads to deception, and that leads to disobedience. If the desire is not managed, it can end up dominating everything you do. And you have become a pawn in the hands of Satan. But then the last part is death. When Satan tempts you, and you listen to him, and you follow him, and you let that become your way of life, he's going to lead you to death. That's his intention, to kill you, drag you down where he is. And he puts that hook in your mouth, and you are twisted around every direction he wants you to walk in. That's what he's doing. And then we get depressed. We get discouraged. We feel like life has no meaning anymore. I wanted to skip some of these things and get down to where I want to close. Or not exactly close. I want to talk about. Hell then becomes greed. When Satan can dominate you, he can deceive you, he can lie to you, he can bring you down to death, and then hell becomes so real when people are living lives dominated by the devil. It's like a living hell. This is not original with me. But hell is happening in your life because hell has been given permission to be in your life and my life. We give it permission. Hell was told, you can have him, you can have her, because I've got them. Someone has said, hell is okay for you to, you say, hell, it's okay for you to rule my mind. It's okay for you to rule my emotions. It's it's okay for you to rule my will or my body. Hell, you can have your way in my life. I want a living hell. You've got my permission. I give you permission to tell me that I'm not really a man, even though I was born a male. Boy, we missed that boat in our generation. I'll always believe we don't know who we are or what we are, not because of disease, because we let hell get into our brain. That's my opinion. I give you permission to tell me I'm not really a woman, even though I was born a female. And even though God has created us male and female, I don't know what I am. Hell, you have your permission. You have my permission. I give you permission to tell me that I want drugs. I need drugs. And I can't stop using drugs. You've got my permission to take me on. I give you permission to tell me I need a drink. I can't live without a drink. I can't go to sleep without a drink. Hell, I give you permission to tell me that I should wake up depressed, stay depressed, go to bed depressed. Hell, I give you permission to tell me I need to take many, many pills to get me to feeling good. I got to take pills or some kind of drugs or take some drinks to get me out of that depression. Hell, I give you permission to tell me that I can't control my anger, my spending, or my desires, that I'm not loved, or that I will never amount to anything of significance. God, hell, I give you permission to tell me I'm a zero, I'm a nobody, nobody loves me. You got my permission. Hell, take it over. The list could go on and on until it leads to suicide in many cases, or death. But you know what, folks? People are real who are going through this. They're real. Their problems are real. Satan is just disguised. There are really people with real problems. The health issues are real. The challenges are real. The conflicts are real. The strongholds are real. All the things that these people are struggling with, because of real like they are, their strongholds are real. But folks, let me tell you something. God has given everybody the way out of it. It's not something that you have to continue to live with. You can get out of it. God has already won the victory. What is it? It's the fact that Jesus Christ came to this earth. And Jesus died on the cross. And while he was on that cross, he was able to shake his fist into the face of the devil himself. So you think you've got me. You think you've defeated everybody. But listen, a sermon I preached a long time ago. Friday's here, but Sunday's coming. The resurrection happened. And because Jesus has overcome every problem there is, even hell and death you and I can have that victory also in Him. Last Sunday I told you about the way to it is by faith. Trust in the grace of God. God doesn't want you to be depressed or to have all these things I've talked about and I've flown through for the sake of time. But nobody has to be living under the domination of the devil and to feel like life is hell. You don't have to do it when you trust your life into Jesus Christ. And I beg you today, if you have never given your life to Jesus, you'll not leave this place until you commit yourself to Him. And I'm preaching to James Jr. We've got Christians who have opened our hearts and lives to say He's got that foot in the door. And we've got to realize we can't defeat it. We can't. He can't. I've said many times, now I have delivered the maker. I've done everything I can do right now. It's up to you. What you do. Oh God. Pray. The devil, Satan won't have dominion over us. Whether it's individuals, church, family, or in our blessed, wonderful, great United States of America. God, may Satan be stopped as we, your people, have faith in your grace. In Jesus' name.